Good morning. We have reached Act 3 of The Tempest, and I hope that you have gone through Acts 1 and 2. You have also got some time to practice on the questions that I have included, because it's important that you do attempt the reference to the context before moving on further. Since I have not received any queries, I hope everything is fine with you all in the understanding of the text. Now, when we move to Act 3, Scene 1, like I find something that has bridged uh, a few scenes earlier with this. And the bridge is being provided by a task, the task of cutting logs and bearing the logs and piling it up. And as it is evident that I've given you in this, I'm not an artist, so don't go by the artistic representation of the tree and the logs. So those are logs, so I've labeled them in case you think of them as something different, because they are not, probably they look different. Anyway, they are logs. So that is just to bring to you the thematic relationship. Now, if you see, Caliban is the slave who is doing the similar kind of task given to by the same person, that is Prospero. The same task that has been given to Ferdinand and which he is now executing in Act 3, Scene 1, right? So, but for Caliban, it is a mean task. It is an odious task, because he looks at it only as a punishment, like I've given you. It is something that is demanded of him by Prospero. Yes, and if he doesn't complete the task, what will happen? He will be visited by the spirits of Prospero, and he'll be given the cramps and the ache and the fever and the pain and the prickly hedgehogs will come in, the chattering monkeys will come in. He'll be tormented. He won't be able to sleep the night if he doesn't do the job. So the task is painful. It is odious. On the other hand, for Ferdinand, who is in red, I've always marked Ferdinand and Miranda in red, if you remember. Now, for Ferdinand, the task has sweet thoughts and labor's pleasure, because it's the same task. It is the same back-breaking, painful, difficult task, and more difficult for Ferdinand because he's a prince. He's not known to have done this kind of back-breaking work back in Naples, right? So for him, the task would be doubly more difficult than what it is for Caliban, who is of the island and known to do hard labor. So, but like I've written in red, the log bearing has a special purpose, because what is he looking at the end of it? Miranda's hand in marriage. So that is what makes the entire task of a different quality. So because of the end result, even the task assumes a different texture to it. And when Caliban is working, he's grumbling, cribbing, complaining all the time, right? And being threatened by Prospero. Prospero has demanded this of Ferdinand, and while Ferdinand is doing it, probably he's not even thinking of the weight of the logs, because he's only thinking about the time he's going to spend with Miranda. So you see, the entire aspect of this carrying of the logs assumes a different meaning altogether in Act 3, Scene 1. So if we look at the opening lines as given when Ferdinand says, there may be some sports are painful, and their labor delight in them sets off some kinds of baseness and are nobly undergone. If you see the first speech of Ferdinand, what is he saying here? He says very clearly that there are games which are difficult, there are games which are painful, there are games which are demanding, but the discomfort, the discomfort which makes them probably more gainful. Very, very difficult. But he says that there are tasks which are mean, but the reasons are noble. Why they are being done becomes more important than the very task itself. Yes, and he says that this my mean task would be as heavy to me as odious, but the mysteries which I serve quickness what's dead and makes my labours pleasure. So the gist of his opening speech is that this task would have been boring for me, would have been painful for me, but for the fact that I am doing it for this mistress. I'm doing it for Miranda. So it makes me enjoy even this extremely difficult task in hand. And then he goes on to compare. He says that she's 10 times nicer than her father, who appears to be so rough, so crude. That he uses the word crabbed. So the crabbiness of it that makes him evil, that makes him tough, that makes him unpalatable. Yes, and. And he says that according to his orders, I have thousands of logs to take and then to pile. Yes, that's what he has ordered me to. And my mistress, what is she doing? She's actually weeping in agony to see my pain. Yes, because and what has she shared? She shared that she has never seen anybody as pure as me doing such lowly tasks, because the only person she has seen perform such tasks has been Caliban. So she believes that it's not right, the task that has been given to Ferdinand by her father. So perhaps for the first time Miranda is going against her father's orders. Yes, and Ferdinand says at the very end of his speech that because of these thoughts of Miranda, her concern is actually a source of relief for me. It is refreshing me. Yes, though I am slaving away, trying to pile up these so many pieces of logs. Yes, but her presence is adding to my comfort. So you see, and what is important is Miranda does enter the scene after this. She does not realize that Prospero is around watching, because Prospero has an intent here, and his intent is exactly where Miranda and Ferdinand are going. That is, they need to fall in love with each other so that Naples and Milan can become one again. It's another way of setting all the wrongs right. Yes, and so you see Miranda goes on to beg of Ferdinand not to work, and says that let me you stop for 3 hours. And if you see this, I mentioned it, but Miranda is unaware of Prospero's presence, requests Ferdinand to rest. He said, you have 3 hours. He will not get up. He's within his cell. Sleep. So you sit down, you rest, while I do the hard work for you. She offers to do the task for him. And you know that this is a clear evidence of, the opening speech of Ferdinand and the response of Miranda is a clear evidence of the mutual love and admiration that they already shared. So perhaps Prospero's intent is nearly fulfilled. Yes, and that is the crux of it. There are a few lines here and there that are important, and of course, when Miranda says that I wish the lightning would strike and burn on the log so that you will not have to work so hard. Yes, you're safe for about 3 hours. And Ferdinand knows that, no, but I have a time. I have till sunset to finish the work. So please don't ask me to rest, because otherwise my work will not be over. And naturally, to Miranda's request that he rests while she does the work, he is chivalrous, and he'll say, I'll rather break my back. This is Precious Creature, line 30. He said, rather break my back and then let you do any of the work. Yes, because I can strain all my muscles, break all my back, but it's not possible that I rest and I watch you doing this absolutely laborious task. Yes. But Miranda says that, why do you say so? And she says very sweetly, it would become me as well as it does you. We are both of the same kind, the same lineage. So she's already assumed that he is her kind of a person. Yes, and she also says that perhaps I can do it more easily because I have not had such a sheltered life as you had. I've been on the island. I have faced a lot of challenges. So perhaps I'll be better at handling this, yes? And then you see when Prospero aside says, oh, poor worm, thou art infected, this visitation shows it. So that is what his intent was is, poor worm. He said worm is something weak, you can easily crush it. So poor little thing, you're already infected. That means you've already been infected by this little disease called love. Yes. And he said it's very evident, the way you are speaking in support of the task that you want to share with Ferdinand. Yes. But Ferdinand, of course, he goes on to say that he feels fresh, and he says that even during the day, no matter whatever time of the day it is, when Miranda is with him, he feels fresh, he feels rejuvenated, he feels he's got full energy to complete all the task. And then, of course, he asks for her name, and for the first time in this scene, Miranda does go against what her father had asked her to do, not to disclose her identity. She does it. And she herself says that, well, Father, I think I've disobeyed you, but gives a name to Ferdinand. Yes. And Ferdinand immediately goes on when he says that admired Miranda, indeed the top of admiration words. He said, you are indeed more than admirable. You're more than anything I've ever seen so beautiful in this world. Yes, and see that I've seen many ladies in court who have different qualities and different attributes, and they say a lot of sweet nothings to me. But he says that I have found qualities in different women. For the first time, I see all the virtues and qualities together in one. So you see, the admiration and love for each other is mutual. Yes. And of course, the last part, he says, oh, you so perfect and so peerless are created of every creature's best. So you are perfection epitomized, because you have the best that you find in different people put together. You're without a rival. You're peerless. Yes, there cannot be another one like you. Yes, and of course, Miranda says that I've not seen any woman, I've not seen any woman's face, I mean, except my own, which I've seen in the mirror. Understandably, because the only other person she's seen is Prospero, and probably a deformed creature like Caliban. And now she sees the handsome Ferdinand. Yes, and she says that I don't think I ever knew that there would be people like you in this world. And I've seen you, and I believe you are by far the best that I've ever seen. I do not want. Her commitment is immediately obvious, and she says it. If you see from line 60 to 65 and to end of it, she says very clearly, now can imagination, any companion, I would not wish any companion in the world but you. Nor can imagination form a shape besides yourself to like of. She's very, very clear. I've no idea what people look like in other places. I do not want to know anything. I cannot imagine anybody else, because I am quite happy, with what I see in front. I do not want anybody else apart from you. Yes, you are perfection as well. So both of them say the same of each other, that you are perfection personified. And then Ferdinand goes on to reveal his true status, that he is a prince by birth. And perhaps he's assuming that if his father is dead, then at this point of time, maybe he's even the king. Yes. And he also accepts that, he says, hear my soul speak, the very instant that I saw you, did my heart fly at your service. So I sort of gave up my heart to you the very minute I saw you. Yes. And he says that I apart from, another concept of a slave, I was enslaved by you. If I use the slave in a very positive way, I'm your slave for life. Yes, I would like you to be a part of my life, because I have been enslaved by you. Your beauty, your virtue, your compassion, that is what she shows towards Ferdinand. And because she lacks the social courtesy. She has not learned social courtesies. She is very, the best word to use is she's very real. Miranda is very real. There's no sophistication, there's no falsity. I'm looking at the positive. I'm not looking at negative. She's very real. She says things from her heart because she likes to speak the truth. She's not learned what it means for what society teaches us, not to be blunt, not to be obvious, to camouflage your feelings, not to always show your feelings, because they discourage you, because otherwise you'll be taking advantage of. She has not seen any of this, so she says very clearly. And what is the question that she asks? Very directly, a lot of naivety in her, which you have to keep in mind. This question that she asks, "Do you love me?" is born out of innocence, is born out of naivety. She's not foolish, she's not an idiot. She's a simple young girl who doesn't know the niceties of being in this social milieu. So that's what she feels. She wants to ask this question, so she asks it. "Do you love me?" Yes. And then Ferdinand, of course, I mean, he's probably taken aback, and he says, "Of course, yes," as and he sort of exclaims, and he says that he says, "My reward, what I'm about to say, may I be rewarded for what I'm about to say, because and if I'm lying, then I would ask the elements to destroy me, because more than anything else in this world, I do care for you. I do value you the most." Yes. And then natural thing, and very important line again, Prospero, who comes in aside, and he says, "Fair encounter of two most rare affections." So two very nice, good people have met, and it's a beautiful meeting of two people who definitely epitomize the meaning of pure, chaste love. And he asks for heaven's blessings on the young couple. But Miranda naturally is quite overwhelmed by it, and she cries. She said, "You're a prince or a king, and I feel I'm very unworthy to be." She doesn't, though Prospero has told her about being the Duke of Milan's daughter, she still feels that that she is not worthy. And she says, "At mine unworthiness, I dare not offer what I desire to give, and much less take what I shall die to want." So, because, I mean, my status, I do not dare to give you what I want to give, and I can't even ask for what I want to get from you. And what is it that she wants? Marriage, right? She wants to be with him all her life. But she says that I should not, she says very, but this is trifling, and all the more it seeks to hide itself, the bigger bulk it shows. Now, why am I wasting these words? These words are being wasted because the more I try to hide what I'm feeling, the more obvious it is becoming, and it's very clear. So I will not be shy, I will not be bashful, I will be straightforward and innocent like I've always been. So I tell you, I would love to be your wife if you will accept me as one. And you know that one part of Prospero's plan has happened, right? If at all it is a plan. Of course, we know it is a plan. Yes, let us not go into a willing suspension of disbelief. It is a plan. And that is our the advantage of being an audience here. Yes, so one part of Prospero's plan is definitely come true. And of course, Ferdinand goes on to say, "You're my wife, dearest." And then she says, "Will you be my husband?" And of course, they exchange of pleasantries and the exchange of love. And the last speech of Prospero that he says is, "I'm so glad of this as they I cannot be, was surprised withal." Yes, and if you look towards the end of this board, what I've written, for Prospero, nothing is giving me more pleasure than this. And that is his thought, because this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted Ferdinand and Miranda to feel this kind of love and empathy for each other, and nothing is giving me more pleasure than this. Yes, nothing at this point of so many years, of 12 years of hard work and toil, I cannot be as happy as they are at this moment. Yes, but I cannot show that happiness because there's lots more to be done, There's still the conspiracy is to be solved, still Alonso to realize his fault, still Antonio and Sebastian to realize their mistake. All that is still to be done. So I cannot show my happiness, but this is giving me, nothing is giving me more pleasure than this. Yes. So he decides to go back into the cave and leave them, these two young people, to themselves, right? So a fair idea now you get of Act 3, Scene 1. Yes, remember bringing the two together, Ferdinand and Caliban, yet so different. And perhaps after a long time, a scene which has a lot of, entire thing is full of positive effects, all positives in this scene. And that's how we remember Act 3, Scene 1, right? Till the next time, when we move on to Act 3, Scene 2, you know how I'm going. I'm finishing the entire act and then going into the reference to the context and the long questions that come up. This, of course, will be taken in along with the previous scene where Ferdinand and Miranda meet, that is part of Act 1, Scene 2, towards the end. And Act 3, Scene 1 will be taken together. And the longer question, the larger perspective about Ferdinand-Miranda relationship we'll take up later on when their marriage is solemnized, right? For till then, please go through today's scene and prepare yourself for Act 3, Scene 2. Till then, take care, stay safe. See you soon. Bye.